Welcome to my Calamity Mod Beginner Guide. This guide will be as spoiler-free as possible so that I do not ruin the mystery and magic behind the mod. The mod can be a bit overwhelming at first, but with this video, you can go into the mod knowing what you're getting yourself into without ruining said experience. If this video does help you though, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the guide. So now you might be asking, what does the Calamity mod actually add? It adds 27 bosses and 12 mini-bosses, over 100 new enemies, 5 new town NPCs, 5 biomes and many new structures, 1 new event, a new rogue class based on the vanilla throwing class with unique mechanics, over 1,800 new items, 100 new blocks, 11 ores, 2 full difficulty settings with AI changes that take the difficulty up from expert or master mode, and many changes to vanilla mechanics, recipes, or items. So if you like the idea of having a bunch more content for Terraria, this is definitely the mod for you, but there is one thing that we have to get into before you get started, which is difficulty. So getting into difficulty settings, basically the way it goes is there is normal, expert, revengeance, and then death, and that's the order of difficulty. Now, in short, if you want the best experience and you want to experience the entire mod, you want to play on revengeance mode. The reason behind that is there's a lot of new mechanics, and then also there is certain drops that are only revengeance mode and up difficulty only. So what you need to do in order to play on this mode is you have to play on an expert mode world, and then in game you'll be able to adjust the difficulty to revengeance once you get in game. The changes of revengeance mode are as follows. It adds 2 new mechanics to the game, which is rage and adrenaline, which we will get into later. It also basically changes a bunch of enemy AI. For example, slime AI, they jump lower and then they jump significantly higher on certain jumps, and they are always aggressive towards the player. It doesn't just impact normal enemies though, it also impacts the bosses. I'm not going to really say much here, but in short, every boss will have new mechanics, vanilla and calamity wise. So I just cannot stress this enough. If you can afford to and it's not too much for you, I really recommend playing this, as I just feel like it's the minimum to get like the experience of the mod. Alright, now that we've gone over difficulty and you are on revengeance mode, we are going to go ahead and get into what happens when you create a new character. The first thing that you're going to do is create a expert mode world and create a character with the calamity mod enabled. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to notice that you have a starting bag. And this item basically gives you a bit of an early game boost. It gives you some potions, it gives you some items, some weapons, and so forth to kind of help you out in the early game. Revengeance mode can be enabled by opening your inventory, and in the top right you'll see an icon where you can select Revengeance or Death mode. The next thing you're going to want to do is go into your control settings, and if you scroll down you're going to find the Adrenaline and Rage hotkeys. These are basically going to be a new mechanic added in Revengeance, which we will explain now. In Revengeance mode, you'll have 2 new bars at the top of your screen. The first one is Rage, which is the red bar, and the second one is Adrenaline, which is the green bar. The Rage meter is charged by being close to enemies. The closer the player is to the enemy, the faster the Rage meter will charge, and bosses triple the rate that the bar fills. In order to get the fastest meter of charging this, you need to be within 10 blocks of an enemy. The rage meter can empty over time. This happens whenever the player is out of combat, which is when you're not near any enemies and you haven't dealt damage to any enemies for 10 seconds. Whenever you use rage by hitting your rage hotkey after it's been fully charged, you will multiply your damage by 35% for the next 9 seconds. This can be upgraded over time through certain boss drops. Next up we have Adrenaline. Adrenaline is the green bar, and this is only charged within boss fights. It is charged by not getting hit, it takes 30 seconds to fully fill, and if you get hit while it's full or charging, you lose all of your current meter. It gives a 200% damage boost for 5 seconds. If you are hit while the bar is full, adrenaline will be removed and that hit's damage will be reduced by half. The only time you will not lose adrenaline from getting hit is if the damage from that hit is less than 5% of your HP, in which case you will lose partial adrenaline based on the damage received. Adrenaline, in short, basically just rewards good dodging and knowing the boss's mechanics, and it can be used to shred hard phases of fights if you save it strategically and reduce the fight duration. I think the best example would be something like Duke Fissure, where the final phase can be a bit dicey here and there, So by using Adrenaline and saving it for the final phase, you can burst down that phase quite fast if you do not feel comfortable with said phase. Moving on, there's a lot of vanilla changes that I think are very important to go over. One of them is the summoner penalty. In short, this is a penalty for if you are multi-classing with summoner. If you're only relying on summons to deal your damage along with whips, you will get no penalty with summons. But if you are using both summons as well as ranger weapons or melee weapons, you will actually get a summoner penalty where they will deal about 25% less damage as compared to if you were pure summoner. This damage penalty does not trigger whenever you're holding a tool or a classless weapon. The next change is the ore progression of hard mode. Whenever you defeat Wall of Flesh, Cobalt and Palladium will spawn, and then whenever you defeat your first mechanical boss, Mithril and Orichalcum will spawn. After your second mechanical boss, Adamantite and Titanium ore will spawn. And lastly, after your third mechanical boss, Hollowed ore will spawn in the underground hollow biome. Another big change of hard mode is destroying altars with Ponehammer will drop Souls of Night and will not generate any extra ores. We have now finished the vanilla changes. It is time to get into some added on mods that I would really recommend in order to make your experience a bit better within the Calamity mod. The first one is boss checklist. This gives you a general idea of what boss to do next. You'll just open your inventory, and the bottom right there's going to be a boss log little book icon. If you click on that, it will give you some info about the boss and how to spawn it, as well as like the loot and where to fight it and all that good stuff. It's really useful for learning your way through Calamity. The next one is recipe browser. This one can be used in order to figure out what you can craft with whatever items you have in your inventory, or if you want to go ahead and look up an item to see what you can craft with it or how to craft a certain item, that is what this mod is for. The next mods are music mods. You want Calamity Mod Extra Music as well as Calamity Mod Music. These are separate from the main mod. Make sure to get these. These soundtracks are absolutely amazing. The final mod is going to be Magic Storage. In short, this is a mod that makes one big chest for you that you can deposit all of your stuff in, as well as craft within it. It is super useful, and it's a mod that I honestly can't go without for modded playthroughs. Crafting recipes in Calamity can be really complex, so by using this mod you can save yourself a lot of the headache. I have a Magic Storage guide that will be linked in the description and in the top right of this video if you want to learn more about that. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and get into some general tips and advice. The first one is if an item is labeled as a material, that means that it can be crafted into other things. This is useful for when you're looking to upgrade your weapon potentially. You can see what the requirements to get that upgrade are. One thing to keep in mind is that the game is rebalanced. Things like the Daedalus Stormbow and more are incredibly nerfed, so approach this like a new game and try different weapons. Building arenas for each boss fight is really important, and you should play around with different armor and accessory setups to see what works best for you. Potions and other buffs such as sunflowers, heart lanterns, and more should all be used in boss fights, as they can provide really strong buffs for you. The wiki is super useful if you are stuck, but try not to use it too much. It can spoil a lot of things for you, and I think that finding the solution on your own is more entertaining. The Rada's Discord is now craftable. And lastly, the mod can be really difficult, so you will likely die a lot. I wouldn't get discouraged if you are stuck on a boss fight. I would keep trying and you will eventually succeed. Some of the fights within this mod took 50 attempts to finally get for me, but the feeling when you finally beat that tough boss is amazing. That is all for the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys liked and subscribed. Also, you should follow me on Twitch and join my Discord. We will be talking about Calamity and a bunch of other things. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop by, and thank you for watching.